So it's 2024. What books would I buy? Let's find out. Welcome back to another video. This really popped when I saw it. That to me is a monster increase. Again, this book got hot. This book is ready to go higher.
So let's jump right into it.
We are back today with another statue review from Diamond Select Toys. Without further ado, let's get into the review. What is good, YouTube? This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles, and thank you for joining me for another video here on the channel. Today we have a special one. It's 2024. What would I buy right now? Before we get started in the video, like always, I want to remind you guys, if you're not a current sub of the channel, do yourself a favor, hit that sub button for me, smash the like button because it really helps the channel out, and comment down below on anything that you see here when I do a video. With that said, I want you guys to remember, this video is intended for you guys. It is my opinion on the books that I buy. So don't go out and buy the books if you're not interested in them. This is just books that I always see for these dollar amounts that I always want to buy. With that said, we're going to take $50 all the way up to $50,000 and see what books I'd be going after this year. So let's start off with $50. Now, to a lot of people, $50 is a lot of money. You might spend $50 on a book, you may not, but for me, whenever I buy any comic book, I really want to buy significance, right? First appearances, classic covers. I'm not looking really for variants, stuff like that. And when we're talking about me spending $50 or any amount, I want the book to be something that I want in my collection. With that said, I only buy first appearances, I only buy classic covers, and when we talk about a book specifically, I always want to have this specific book in my collection. Whenever I see it at my LCS or at a show for around 50 bucks, I always snatch it up. And of course, we're talking about Marvel Premiere number 47 and the first appearance of Scott Lang as the new Ant-Man. So with that said, we recently had a GPA sale of an 8.0 book for only $62. Now, I know a little bit over 50 bucks, but we also had a CGC 7.5 sale of $51 last month. So again, this book can be had for $50 in very fine range. Whenever I see it at my LCS Zap Comics, it's always raw and it's always affordable. And not to mention, I absolutely love this cover. So that's my $50 book. So let's work our way up to $100, and 100 bucks is a lot of money to spend for any collector out there on a comic book nonetheless. But either way, we do it all the time as collectors. Now, a book that reminded me of $100 is one that I collected way back when I got back into the hobby of collecting itself around 6 years ago. And to this day, believe it or not, I still own my high grade copy in the raw form. But at certain grades, this book can still be had for around 100 bucks. And we're talking about Marvel Spotlight number 32 and the first appearance of Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew. Like I was saying before, I'd always go to my local show or my LCS, and they always had a really great copy of this book for around 100 bucks. So we're going to take an example from GPA. So a CGC 8.5 just recently sold for $113 just this month. We also had a CGC 8.0 sale of $95 also this month. And these are slabs, right? GPA only tracks CGC sales. So with that said, for 100 bucks, there's a lot of books you can go out there and buy right now, but for me, this one sticks out. We are now going to jump up to $250, so quite a jump from $100 to $250. These are the books that are not really huge keys, but to be honest with you, they probably have great storylines or great covers, something along those lines they can still have for around 250 bucks. Now, me being a Spidey fan, I usually stick to those books that are near and dear to me because I'm a huge Amazing Spider-Man fan. And I went for a book I always pick up when I can get it for a deal, and that is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 121. We just had a GPA sale of a 4.0 for $237 just this past November. We also had a 4.5 sell this month for only $304. So keep that in mind. You can always make offers on books when you see them at local shows or of course at your LCS. So I still think in a 4.0 grade, and usually we tend to buy these books in higher grade because that cover is so awesome. It is a Bronze Age key. We want them in higher grade. But hey, for a 4.0, as long as it presents well, I'm always a buyer of this book for around this price. Now with that said, I also am a huge Batman fan. So with that said, I wanted to take a Batman book or another book for around this price range that I would always buy for around 250 bucks. And I went with Batman number 251 and this classic Neil Adams cover. We just had a CGC 4.0 sale in November for only $204. that is a great price. We also had a 3.5 sell in December for $250, so right around what we want to spend for a 3.5. Again, I know it's a lower grade book, but don't forget, these are keys, right? This is a classic cover. This started all off for the new era of the Joker in the Bronze Age. So with that said, I'd be buying both of these books, ASM 121, classic storyline, The Death of Gwen Stacy, and that iconic cover by the great John Romita Sr., and of course, an awesome iconic cover of Neil Adams' Joker in Batman 251. $500. $500 is a huge amount of money to spend on a comic book, and you can get some great deals for the half a century mark for $500. With that said, I have two books that I would pick out right now in 2024 that I'd want to own. The first one is a DC book. It is a copy of Detective Comics number 359 and the first appearance of Batgirl, a Silver Age key. I always say this when we talk about Silver Age DC, there are not a lot of keys out there that I want to own, but this one is definitely one of them. We just had a CGC 5.0 sell in October for $478 under the 500 mark. We also had a CGC 4.5 for $510 just last month in December. With that said, I love Batman keys. You guys know that. It would be this one. It'd be Batman 121 and also, of course, 181, the first appearance of Poison Ivy, but those are a lot more valuable. I do have another book for you guys at the $500 mark. How about a book that has gotten crushed over 2022 and 2023? How about a copy of Fantastic Four number 52 and the first appearance of Black Panther? We just had a CGC 4.5 sell in December for $500. Then we had a CGC 4.0 sell for $450 just last month. So again, this book has gotten crushed over the past 2 years. Definitely one that I'd be picking up for 2024 if you're looking for a book around $500. How about the collectors out there that want to spend more money? How about $1,000? And for $1,000 right now, you can get some awesome keys. DC, Marvel, Image, whatever you guys want. So I'm going to give you two as well for $1,000 that I'll be buying this year. The first one is a massive DC key, and it sees every time we go on a live sale, this book is for sale and somebody is snatching it up. It is a copy of House of Secrets number 92 and the first appearance of the original Swamp Thing, and a CGC 4.5 just sold in November for $999 flat. We also had a CGC 5.0 sale in December for $1,140. Now I know that's not $1,000, but a lot of deals can be had right now for comics. A lot of people need to move books, so making deals on some of these are absolutely possible. With that said, guys, $1,000 is a lot of money for a Bronze Age key, but this one is super hot and there's no telling where it can go this year. With that said, I have another book to talk about, and you guys know it's one of my all-time favorite books. Whenever I see this book, I just have to buy it. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 50, the trifecta, the first appearance of the Kingpin, classic storyline Spider-Man No More, and an iconic cover by the great John Romita Sr. We just had a CGC 6.0 sale in November for only $937. We also had a CGC 6.5 sale of $1,139 just last month. With that said, I want to remind you guys right here, right now, I'm not advocating for you guys to go out and buy these books. I'm simply stating these are the books that I'd be buying right now in 2024 for each price range. You guys know I love the first Kingpin, but it hasn't really gotten up much over the past couple of years, but still an awesome book. Now we're up to the big baller dollar amounts, $2,500, and that is a lot of cash to throw around at comic books. But again, we have some big boys in our hobby to willing to spend this kind of money on books, and I have two for you guys. One a DC key again, one Marvel. So let's start with DC. It is a copy of Showcase 22 and the first Silver Age appearance of Green Lantern. Now with that said, who knows what's going to happen in the DCU going forward? Are we even going to make it to the DCU considering all the stuff that's going on with Warner Brothers? Regardless, this book should definitely be owned. Right now, we just had a CGC 3.0 sale in November for $2,400. We also had a CGC 2.5 sale in July of $2,225. A classic DC key. Don't forget, this is a major key. I know it's a first Silver Age appearance and not a true first, but the true first appearance of a Green Lantern is from the Golden Age, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, I would think. Regardless, this one has not moved much over the past couple of years, but it's always a book I'm looking to buy for the right price. Now let's talk Marvel, and this one was kind of hard considering a lot of the bigger Marvel keys that happened in the Silver Age, they're definitely more than $2,500, but one of them is not, and I've talked about this book before. It is a copy of Daredevil #1, the first appearance of Daredevil and Matt Murdock. CGC 3.0, which is a decent grade for this book, just sold in November for $2,225. We also had a CGC 2.5 sale of $1,825 just this last December, way under the $2,500 mark. Either way, I don't think you can go wrong buying either of these books, but make sure you want to own them for the long term. Let's talk about a cool $5,000. If you got $5,000 to shell on a comic book, I definitely envy you. With that said, there's nothing better than spending big money on Silver Age Marvel keys. Silver Age Marvel was the best time in comic books, in my opinion, of course. So I'm going to give you two. The first one is a copy of Journey into Mystery 83, and of course is the first appearance of Thor. We just had a CGC 2.0 sale in November for $5,300. Then we had a CGC 1.8 sale in September for $4,637. So definitely doable for under $5K for a major Marvel first appearance. But let's stick with that and talk about another giant Marvel character. It is of course a copy of Tales of Suspense number 39, the first appearance of Iron Man. We just had a CGC 1.8 sale in June for only $3,801. We also had a CGC 2.0 sale of $5,610 way back in March. Who knows if this book has gone down since then? I definitely think you can get a nice looking copy for under $5K if you want to own a major Marvel first appearance. Now we're getting into level of grails, all right? We're talking about $10,000. Now, a lot of big Silver Age keys can be had for 10 grand, and even some smaller Golden Age keys can be had for this amount of money. So I picked, of course, one of my favorite books of all time. It is a copy of Incredible Hulk #1. Of course, it's the first appearance of Bruce Banner as the Incredible Hulk, and right now, a CGC 1.0 just sold in November for $9,500. We also had a CGC 1.5 sell in December of only $8,100. That to me is an absolute steal. I have a Hulk 1 signed by Stan Lee at a 1.5. I paid a hell of a lot more than that, but that book is never leaving my collection. If I could find a 1.5 for under 10 grand, would I buy another copy? You're damn right I would. One of the best from the Silver Age and one of the biggest and scarcest Marvel keys. Let's jump all the way up to $25,000. And for that amount of money, you can get something really special in our comic book community. And you guys know what I had to choose, right? It is a copy of Amazing Fantasy 15, the first appearance of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. It is also the first appearance of Aunt May and Uncle Ben. And right now, a CGC 2.5 just sold last month for $24,000. But we also had a CGC 2.0 sale of only $14,999 way back in October. If you guys haven't noticed, AF-15 has turned the corner and started its ascent back up to where it belongs. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to stay there for long. I do think we're going to have some fluctuation in the market over the next couple of years, hopefully while things stabilize. But either way, if I could find a nice raw copy for around under 25K for me, especially under 10 to 15K, I'd be all over it. That's just my opinion. That's what I'm looking for. I'd love to own a raw AF-15 to go along with my Slab one. Regardless, if you can get a Slab one for under 25K and it really presents well, not a lot of Marvel chipping, complete, no resto, no green label, I'd be all over that thing in 2024. So alas, we've gotten to our largest amount and the last amount on this video. It is, of course, $50,000, and that is not for the average collector. Not a lot of people can say they can throw around $50,000 at a comic book. With that said, there are some people who have some deep pockets, or maybe they have value in their collection where they can go ahead and trade for a massive key, just like I did, right? I took about 17 or 13 books, whatever it was, and I traded it for a Batman one. With that said, I picked two books that I want to own for $50,000, and guess what? I own both of them, and I do it again in 2024. The first one is a copy of Detective Comics number 31, and that's iconic cover by the great Bob Kane. We had a CGC 5.5 restored copy sell in November for $43,200. But not only that, we had a 6.0 restored copy sell in September of 2022 for $57,600. The big thing with this book, there's about 51 copies available, so it is super scarce. And we're getting to $50,000 and actually five figures when we're talking about dollar amounts. The book should become less and less available and more scarce. With that said, I have another pick pick for you guys if you are interested. And of course, it is a copy of Batman #1, the first appearance of the Joker, the first appearance of the Cat, who later goes on to become Catwoman, and of course, the first issue of Batman in his own solo title. With that said, we had a Batman 1, a 0.5 blue label, sell in November for only $42,000. Now, I paid a little bit more than that, or I should say, traded for a little bit more than that, because mine is a 6.0 restored. But could you imagine owning a Batman 1 for under $50,000? If it's a complete book and it doesn't look too bad, that is amazing. But those are the two books I'd be buying for $50K, and you can't change my mind right now. And there are a lot of great books that are really expensive in our community. Some Golden Age stuff, some pre-code horror, even some Silver Age high grades. I'd rather own the two books that I own, but to each his own. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, but these are the books in 2024 for the dollar amounts that I'd be after. There are so many other books out there, though, that you may be interested for a certain dollar amount, so make sure you're doing your due diligence. Like I always say, check GPA, check Comic Link, check eBay, check wherever you can, some of the auction sites. You can get a deal right now on some of these books. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is Lawrence over at Mighty Comics and Collectibles saying thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.